Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to be going through my anticipated releases for 2026. So every year I obviously do this video, and I always put the disclaimer, I don't just list all like the really hyped releases coming up. I'm usually very intentional about what books I'm putting on the list. So they're authors I read from, they're series continuations, they're ones that I am actually genuinely excited, I am actually going to read. I don't just go, oh, that sounds vaguely intriguing, I'm going to put it on. Obviously, some of those will come along during next year and I will pick them up, I'm sure, but this is purely for the books that I am really excited for. There's a couple that I just want to go through. So some that I'm like, will it happen this year? There's been no official release date or anything like that, but I'm hopeful. Some are more sure than other. So the first one is the new Caitlin Doughty. I believe she's writing a nonfiction on the Titanic. I read her 3 other nonfictions: Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs, and From Here to Eternity. They're all books about death, and as I said, I believe it's like a nonfiction about like the Titanic. I'm very excited for it. I do think it says 2026, but it has no like specific date or anything like that, and so usually that means it's not like set in stone. But I'm hopeful for that. Rosemary and Thyme by Olivia Atwater. This is going to be the sequel to The Witch Would Not, which I have right here. This is part of the Victorian era fairy tales. She has the Regency era fairy tales, which starts with Half a Soul, and now she's moving on into the Victorian. I really enjoyed the first one, and these are actually like really connected, way more than the first series is. So like you have to read book 1 before you can read book 2, but I'm really excited to get to book 2. And this is a self-published fantasy, so you know, I'm sure I'll get it'll be like a month or 2 ahead, but I am subscribed to her newsletter and all of that, and I'm pretty sure almost there, like she started teasing like the cover and stuff like that, so I'm pretty confident that that's going to be this year. The last one, of course, is Alecto the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. That book will come out when it comes out. I think that's all I have to say on that. The less exciting anticipated releases are my anticipated paperback releases. So I have 3 of them. So one is The Art of Legend by Wesley Chu. I have read the first 2 books in that series. It follows a young boy who has been told that he is the figure of this prophecy who's going to defeat the Eternal Khan. And then the Eternal Khan dies and nobody really knows what to do with him, and so they decide, well, we don't want to like jinx anything, so we're going to just like kill him. And so he flees with his new trainer, who doesn't take any of his crap, because he has been raised as a spoiled little brat who doesn't actually know how to fight, because everybody has been told to go easy on him and not to injure him. So it's very much like found family. I really enjoyed the first 2. The second one left off on a very interesting note, so I'm excited to get to this 3rd one. Then the second paperback that I'm looking forward to is A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. I think the first paperback came out in like April-ish, so I'm kind of thinking the same for this one. This is a fantasy mystery series that follows Anna and Din. We mainly follow Din, who is Anna's assistant, and he has to go around to all of these crime scenes to use his magic as an engraver, which means he can like use smells to remember every single detail and then report back to Anna, and the 2 of them have to figure out what happens. So now let's actually get into stuff that you want to hear about. I'm going to try and go in publication order, but if I mess one up, don't be mad at me. So the first one, I'm pretty sure this is the first that goes on the list every single year, is the 11th book in the We Were Children series, Through Gates of Garnet and Gold series. This follows children who find magical doors and they go into magical worlds, and then sometimes when they come out, they can't really adjust to the real world, so they go to Eleanor's school in hopes to readjust. So it kind of goes back and forth between like the story of one of these children and their world, and then in the real world they have to team up because something has gone wrong. And so I believe that this one actually goes back to our very first main character, Nancy. In the very first book, she is the one who arrives at Eleanor's school, and she wants to find her door again. Book number 2 that I have is a February release, and that is Agnes Albert's Mystical Cat Shelter by Heather Fawcett. I have read and loved the entirety of the Emily Wilde trilogy. I gave them all 4 stars, but I like really like them. They're really solid. And this is her new series. We follow a woman who owns a cat shelter in 1920s. There's some magical shenanigans going along in the background that she has nothing to do with, but when it starts to put her business and her shelter in jeopardy, she has to team up with a magical wizard to try and stop it. So then I have Green and Deadly Things by Jen Lyons. This is a March release. Jen Lyons wrote the Course of Dragon series, which is like, I think, in my top 3 favorite series of all time. She also wrote Sky on Fire, which I enjoyed. I gave that a 4-star. And obviously now this is another fantasy book. I do really love the cover. It has to do with necromancy, and like necromancy has been like outlawed, banished. They have like, history has said that like this is where like all of the problems went wrong, and that's actually not true. I think eventually like the necromancers have to come back and like balance magic again. I'm not 100% sure. I just know that's Jen Lane's and I'm gonna read it. We have a couple of April releases. So we have The Ending Writes Itself by Evelyn Clark, which is V. Schwab and Cash Clark. Oh, this is a mystery, which is a new thing for V. Schwab. Obviously I do know she's writing it with someone, but if V. Schwab is even slightly involved, I shall read it. It's a mystery. I don't really read mysteries. I don't keep on top of mysteries. I don't really know what the plot of it is, except that V. Schwab co-wrote it. From what I remember hearing about it, it is like, you know, a lot of like very fun tropes. Like, it is isolated setting. I think it's a bit of a competition. I think there's a bunch of authors on an island and they have to write the perfect ending to, I think it's a murder mystery anyway. And then I think the person who organizes this competition winds up dead, and obviously they all have to find out who did it, I imagine. We have The Orb of Carado. I'm not 100% sure on the pronunciation. This one I think has technically been published this year, but I think it was only Subterranean Press in a very limited run. It is a novella by Catherine Addison, and it is set in the world of the Goblin Emperor, and it's officially being published in April. And I'm very excited. I love anything set in that world. It's a novella that follows a completely new character, and this character is a historian, originally anyway, and eventually ends up getting fired, I think, from their job, and ends up working with a smuggling business. It's April release, I believe. Antiquarian, Object of Desire. This is the 3rd and final book in this companion novel series. The first book is The Ornithologist Feel Get Got Love. The second one is The Joker's Map to Romance, and this is the 3rd and final. I'm not saying the title again, but I am really excited. This one sounds like so much fun. Truly, the first book in this series is one of the most ridiculous books I've ever read. I had so much fun. I don't think I have ever actually like been giggling while reading a book, except for that. And I was like, oh my god, this is so fun, this is so ridiculous. And so I really liked the like plot and the ridiculousness and like the people screaming behind the scenes to make a rom-com happen between these two characters. But I liked the chemistry of the characters in the book too more, but I didn't necessarily like the plot as much. This 3rd and final one is Fake Hating. So supposedly, this is the sister to the character of the second book, and the cousin of the male main character in the first one. She has an academic rival, but they are actually just putting it on. Like, they like each other, they're like friendly enough, but they, in front of everyone, they pretend to hate each other. I don't 100% know the reason why, except for I know that the male main character is supposedly just a very overdramatic, like out there kind of a character. And from what we've seen of this character, her name I think is Abigail, she's also quite out there as well. And so I think they're just doing it for fun. And that sounds like so much fun to me, like just two people pretending to hate each other, and obviously it's going to turn into a romance. I'm excited for it. Now we are into May, and the first one I have is Two for Joy by Susan Dennard. This is a YA murder mystery. She has really started to get into them. I'm like excited and also a little like, oh, because obviously what I love from Susan Dennard is the Witchland series. That is my favorite series from her. I absolutely adore it. I haven't read the final book yet. It's literally sitting there. I'm rereading. I'll get to it, I promise. I enjoyed The Luminaries Executioners 3. That was like a 90s, like, is something magical haunted going on, or is it all like people like playing pranks and stuff like that? Again, really fun time. And she seems to be leaning more into that like paranormal, or is it not, murder mystery YA kind of a feel. And I guess I kind of hoped that when she finished The Witchlands, maybe she would like try some adult fantasy. Maybe she will eventually, but this seems to be what she is doing, focusing on now. And I believe it is a part of a series. It's called The Murder Quartet. So I'm excited to see what's going to come. On the same day as Two for Joy is Platform Decay by Martha Wells. This is the 8th book in the Murderbot Diary series. Guys, I mean, do I even have to talk about it? Do I have to talk about how much I love Murderbot? Definitely up there as one of my favorite series of all time. In the top, I would say 5. Definitely in the top 10. Probably in the top 5. Everyone's favorite sex unit is back. that's all I need to know. I don't know where this falls within the timeline. I don't think I've seen that anywhere. I'll have to have a look. This is 250 pages long, so on the longer side of the Murderbot. Obviously the first 4 were all novellas. They were like 120-ish maybe max. The 5th one was a full-length novel. That's like 300-400, between the 300-400. Then we went back to a novella, again around the 100, I think like 112. And then the last one was a novel. I wouldn't necessarily, it was 250, so roughly the same length as this one. So like the first 4 make up like one kind of arc. Obviously like we touch back on that ever so often, but like that is like a story within itself. Then timeline wise, the 6th novella, the 6th book, which is a novella, that comes actually next in the timeline. Then it's the novel, and then it's the last book. And so I don't know where this is going to fall, whether this is going to go back somewhere in the timeline or is it we're keeping moving forward. But all I know, like, it's a very simple synopsis. Murderbot has volunteered for a rescue mission and it has to spend a significant time with a bunch of humans it doesn't know. Also out in May is The Tapestry of Fate by Shannon Chakraborty. This is the sequel to The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi, which came out, I think, was that 2023 or 2022? I might have to reread the first one before I dive into the second one. It follows Amina Al-Sarafi. She used to be a pirate, but she has survived it all and she has said no more, and she has settled down with her daughter. And then she is tracked down by an incredibly wealthy woman who wants to hire her to find her granddaughter. She sets off on one more adventure with her crew. And but it becomes clear as this job goes on, there might be more to it than she first thought. On to June, we have The Unicorn Hunters by Catherine Arden. Catherine Arden is an author who just really solid books. Like, I gave the entire Winter Night trilogy 5 stars, I think, and The Warm Hands of Ghosts was like my highest 4-star of last year, I think. Like, it just missed out on the 5-star. Just, I think the first bit was a little slow for me, but in general, her books have really worked for me. I think she also has another middle grade like horror coming out next year. I'm not gonna read that, I don't think, but in case you wanted to know, I actually don't know, I'm gonna actually just read. With her country's future and her own life at stake, an orphaned duchess must journey into a world of myth and there discover a power that may be her salvation or her demise. Also in June is The Someday Garden by Ashley Poston. Ashley Poston has been like one of my go-to romance authors, like just like solid, I know I can trust you. Every single one of her books had been 4 stars until this year. Finally, Sounds Like Love finally got a 5-star from her. I was a little emotional over that book. It wrecked me a little. I did have like a couple of small issues with it, but I was like, you know what? I just loved the experience so much. Like, now I'm even more excited because I'm like, oh my god, she has 5-star potential. I thought that she was always going to be like, you're solid, I trust you, I give your books 4 stars. But now I know, wait a second, there could be more. We follow a character who escapes to Maine for a temporary job in this fancy house to do with a garden. Keeps escaping into this garden, but the door magically changes where it is, and inside this garden is a grumpy man who seems to be trapped there. And obviously, I imagine she falls in love. Much fun. I love that she has like a magical or sci-fi twist onto her stories. It's so much fun. So now we're into the second half of the year, which I don't have as many. I might do a part 2 in like June or whatever to be like, oh, here's, because I'm sure more will be announced. So to be like, oh, here's more. I have The Eye of Leviathan by Emma Carrick in July. So this is the start of a new duology. I don't actually even know what it's about. I believe it is a historical book. Carrick is a writing duo and they have written one of my favorite series of all time, which is the Rook and the Rose series. It starts with Mask of Mirrors. I love it. The first book, I was like, it was actually a kind of low 4-star. Like, I was like, it's really detailed. Like, you can tell that they're passionate about the story they're telling. But I just didn't, when I was like connected to the characters and everything. And then I was like, oh, will I continue or won't I? I read book 2. And when I tell you, I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, just everything clicked. The characters, the world, I was swept away by it. Really, really loved it. So I'm a bit nervous about this because it is the first book, so I feel like they love some world building. So I feel like, especially since it's a duology, like, they're going to be packing in a lot in 2 books because I know that they love details. An alternate reality of the Spanish Golden Age. I might actually read you the synopsis if you don't mind. In an alternate Spanish Golden Age where the map becomes the territory and map makers are the architects of reality, The Council of the Sea Beyond has risen to unrivaled power, exploiting the world's most precious resource for their own gain. Determined to discover how cosmographers pin down the islands of the otherworld, Esteban seeks power with the Council of the Sea Beyond, but he risks the exposure of his own secrets, for he is a changeling, a fairy masquerading as a mortal, and for a fairy to enter the mortal world like that, a child must go the other way. The hungry girl, the nameless human daughter whose place he took, has grown up opposite her brother. Lost among the Fae and desperate to find some purpose for her pitiful existence, she leaps at the chance to help a group of Spanish explorers in the sea beyond, only to be horrified at the atrocities they commit. Soon their unlikely siblings will need to overcome their rivalry, because only together can they bring down Spain's world-spanning empire and save the homes they have come to love. Now on to August. In August, I have the Dream Thieves graphic novel. So they are doing graphic novel versions of the entire Raven cycle. I read the first one and I gave it a 4-star. To me, it worked because I haven't reread the books in a while. So it was like the perfect for like being like, oh, I remember how much I love this story. But I feel like if you are like a constant rereader of the story, you're going to be like, this is missing a lot, and you won't necessarily love it. And if you like didn't love the story in the first place, or if you've never read the story, I just don't think you're going to get enough. You're not going to be able to get the like linking pieces to like really fully enjoy the story. So I feel like I am the target audience. Like it made me want to reread the series, but then I was like, wait a second, then I will probably be disappointed by the future ones. So I am waiting until all of them come out, and then I will allow myself to reread the Raven cycle. So in August we have Daggerbound by T. Kingfisher, and I'm not 100% sure. Like I know the date is like officially down there, and like they've announced it. They don't have a cover yet or anything like that, but I'm just nervous because I love Sword Heart. It was such a shock to me that I loved it so much, because fantasy romance just not working for me. Like it does not jive with me. Even with T. Kingfisher, I had liked her fantasy, but they were like 3-4 stars. They weren't like, oh, I love this. They're like solid. And so when I just randomly, I think it was available on Audible Plus, I was just like, sure. I put it on. I loved it. I ate it up. It was so good. Like I truly, truly love this book. And for years, she has been saying that a sequel is coming. But instead of a sequel, she instead wrote an entire spin-off series, which, well, not an entire, because there's 3 more books to come in that. But the Paladin's Grace series, there's 4 books in that series. Those all happened because she was having a writing block with the second book in this series. So I don't know what to expect. Obviously, like, she is a writing machine, and the fact that she has stopped herself and said, I'm going to write other stuff instead of this because I don't know what to write, gives me faith that it's going to be good, because she has taken her time with it. So I'm optimistic about it, but I'm a little scared. Now, the first book follows a girl who helped her dead husband's uncle for the past few years while his health has been failing. And when he dies, he leaves everything to her. And his family obviously don't want this and want to force her to marry one of the brothers. And she doesn't want this, so she goes into her room planning to take the sword off the wall, and so that way she won't be forced into a marriage. When she takes the sword out, a man appears. And it turns out he is a man who has been cursed to be a sword, and he is going to help her to not have to marry this man and to be able to legally claim all of her money. I think there was 3 warriors that were trapped in these weapons. So obviously Sword Heart follows the first one, and then I think this follows a second one. And I hope that we do get some cameos, at least from the characters from the first book. As far as I know, this one is actually a male-male romance, I believe. And he has been trapped inside a weapon, and he has hated his existence for a while. And then a scholar tasked to bring it to a city, and he draws the blade, and then the 2 of them are bound to each other, and obviously a romance happens, and I'm very excited for it. We're now jumping a bit to October. So as I said, I feel like there's going to be more that pop up along the way, but in October, the 6th of October, we have the 3rd and final book in the Villains trilogy, which is going to be called Victorious. This has been a long time coming. Like, oh my god. I'm so excited. I'm so nervous for this. I will definitely have to reread the first 2 books before I get to this. Not my favorite V.E. Schwab series. that's a darker shade of magic, but I do really, really enjoy it. And I think I gave them 4.5s. I don't do 0.5s anymore, so I don't know what I have rounded it down or up, but I enjoyed the two of them so much. The very first book follows Victor and Eli, and they are in college together, and they become obsessed with the idea of EOs, who are extraordinaries, and these are people who have powers. And they discover that to become an EO, you have to have a near-death experience, and then that will give you an ability. And so they take turns trying to kill each other and bringing the other back so they can get powers. And then we flash forward, I think it's 10, maybe 15 years later, I can't remember how much, and Victor is just out of prison, and he has one thing on his mind, and that is revenge. The last book that I have is Call Me Traitor by Everina Maxwell, and this was actually only added to my list today because I was like going one last run through like authors that I like, you know, having a scan on my shelves, you know, doing a quick little Google, seeing if they're there. I did not see this announced anywhere. I follow her on Instagram and everything, but I didn't see an announcement for it. But it's on Goodreads, and like it looks like it's real. Like it has like a full synopsis and everything written in, so I think it is. And it's a sapphic book, which is exciting. Her first two books, which is Winter's Orbit and Ocean's Echo, the two of those are male romances, and they are like sci-fi romances, whereas this, as far as I know, is a fantasy romance. So I'm excited for that. And as I said, it's a female romances, and I think I'm gonna just read out the synopsis because I only read it for the first time like what, a couple hours ago, and I was like, yes. So I need you to hear it as well. N is a weapon. Battle spells are carved into her skin. She's trained to work through pain, and she's magically compelled with loyalty to the Archmage. When she's sent on a mission to retrieve a group of infamous traitors from exile in a land of unpredictable and deadly magic, she's forced to team up with a common soldier to have any chance of success or survival. Tamal is in danger. Tamal is a disaster. N isn't fooled by the soldier's silver tongue and good looks. Tamal is flighty, cowardly, and the worst soldier N has ever met. But she's also brilliant at magic and kinder than N has any right to expect. When she saves N's life, it takes everything N has not to start falling for her. That is, until N discovers Tamal is one of the traitors she seeks. The Empire never forgets. Years ago, the exiled traitors, normal students with a vision for a better kingdom. They put their lives on the line fighting for it and lost, so they were exiled to the far peninsula to die. But now the Empire discovers the traitors may yet live, and they've unearthed something in the wilderness that the Archmage will pay any price to get. But the might of an unforgiving empire isn't the greatest force in all the land. Something monstrous is living in the Far Peninsula that does not discriminate between soldiers, traitors, and kings. The future of the empire is unexpectedly in the hands of N and Tamal. At least the perfect soldier would never betray her orders, no matter how much she starts to question her command, would she? Call Me Traitor is an enthralling sapphic adventure from academia into exile and beyond. You want to read it, right? What is your absolute most anticipated release of the year? Like, only one. Obviously, you can leave a list, but you have to specify which one is the most. So you can say, okay, here's 5 that I really am looking forward to, but this is the one that I am most excited for. Actually, I don't have an answer for it. I probably shouldn't ask questions if I can't answer them myself. I think it might be The Eye of the Leviathan. I just love that series so much, and I've been so excited to see what they do next. So thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.